Leveling up takes isolation, separation, and extreme focus. This is your girl, Candy Hustle, and you are now tuned in to Dope Chick with Ambition podcast. Let's go. Hey, everyone. Did you miss me? Of course you did. This is episode 100 and I believe 30. OMG. We just came out of the month of March. It was Women's History Month. And you know, I normally do my rewind, right? So I replay the replay-worthy episodes. Now, all of my episodes are really amazing, but because I have so many great previous guests, it's really hard for me to select. So if I don't ever, choose you, don't feel like my episode wasn't amazing. No, it's not that. It's just that all of you women and, it's just hard to choose. So I do it every March because, again, I am spotlighting women for Women's History Month, and I loved the women that I selected this past year. It was a great time. Everyone was just like, "Oh, I didn't hear this episode," and that's why I have to do my rewinds because people miss out on the first rollout. I'm like, "Where were you? You didn't see this one?" It's like my one supporter. She's always like looking on the stories and she's always like interacting. And I'm like, why didn't you see this? I know why. Because Instagram is a hater. They be hating on my greatness. Like, come on. I don't know if I'm shadow banned, but y'all limit my reach. My reach should not be limited because I have great content. You know what I mean? Like, allow me to level up. And this is what this episode is all about, right? I have someone who found me. See? They were able to locate my podcast because Apple Podcasts connected me. They put me in the algorithm, something that Instagram doesn't do. Enough of that. I'm not gonna keep talking about IG. But anyway, so today's guest, she said that she was listening to a podcast and then they suggested my podcast. Oh my God. And she was like, "Oh, let me pitch myself to be a guest on her show." So she sent me an email and it was really professional and amazing. And I don't always immediately, respond because I am a creative person. I'm the producer of my show. I do everything for my show. So when you're a producer, and guys, let me just give you a little insight because I did all of this stuff in previous roles. So when you pitch, and I did PR and all of this stuff, when you pitch to people in positions, say if you want to be, on the, on a show, not just a podcast, and you pitch, you have to spark the idea for them to want to bring you on the show. So say if you don't spark an idea, they may not respond. And so sometimes they may just, they may parking lot you. And don't get discouraged. You know what I mean? It just may be like a delayed, not denied type of situation. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to see. So she did a follow-up email because she's from the corporate world and corporate people love to do a good follow-up, like just touching back. So I'm like, girl, I got you. I saw you. So then I, responded eventually. And I, saw if she would align with, for one, my listeners, what my listeners want to hear what she has to say. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people just have you on their show just to have you, and I'm not like that. So as of right now, we are in a space where her type of content and what she does would be ideal. So let me tell you a little bit about her because I got my notes on her. You know what I mean? So her name is Ashley Rudolph. She is a performance coach. She has been in her position for 2 years, and she is self-made. A lot of people don't think that you can be self-made, and I think that you can, especially when you have created a space in an industry, right? You have taken all of your experiences and you said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, and this is who I am. So she's taken all of her experiences because she's actually came from the tech world. So she was a VP. Clock that T, VP. And she said, you know what? I'm going to help others get to the next level because I know what, leaders look for, right? I know what your resume needs to look like in order for you to get that position, right? So she is a dope chick with ambition. So I said, you know what? I want to bring her onto the podcast so that way she can help my listeners possibly perform well, even as future leaders themselves. You know what I mean? No, you may not be a supervisor or in a manager role, but maybe you can excel as a worker because look, everybody can't be a boss, you know what I mean? But you can be an amazing worker, and that doesn't take anything away from you because we still need people to work the positions, you know what I mean? So just imagine if you had a business, wouldn't you want to have great employees? So don't ever think like you're at the bottom when someone say, oh, you're just an employee. No, don't look at it like that because just imagine if you had a company, you want people to show up on time. You want people to, do amazing. But at the same time, you'll want to work for a great organization. And if they're not a great organization, you don't want to overstay your welcome. You'll want to be out. So enough of me rambling and talking on because, I love to talk, hence the reason why I'm a podcaster. Let's go ahead and bring Ashley on and let her talk about what she does. Ashley, hey girl.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. It was a struggle getting on this morning. You know what happened. I ain't going to
That's
put you on
fine.
blast. And I ain't going to do that. But anyway, welcome to the podcast, girly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You
That was
are
such a
welcome.
great intro.
You think so? That's off the top of the head.
Yeah.
I had to come off the top with that. So thank you for giving me my flowers for that. I do what I can.
Yes, of course. Of course.
All right, Ashley. So we're going to just jump right in. So you tell us about your journey. How did you say, you know what? I no longer want to be an employee. I want to go ahead and take control over my path and be the boss.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that question. So for me, I knew that I always wanted to be a leader. And then something that I think that people think when they see someone in leadership, they think like, oh, they must have, had this really linear path, right? And they went up and they knew what their next level was going to be, and they knew what the next level after that was going to be. And that actually was not the case for me. So the first 6 years of my career, I explored a lot. So I started out in marketing. I went back to grad school. I tried marketing again, but I got in on the social media side. And 6 years in, I just realized that this wasn't the path that I wanted to be on. And I got really sure about what I wanted. And I entered the tech industry. And that's exactly when I knew, okay, the path that I want to be on is becoming a leader. I want to be in operations leadership. And the way that I'm going to get there is by outworking everyone else. And that's what I did. So I worked really hard. I found really smart mentors. I continued to do the things that were impactful for the companies that I worked at so that they never had the question of, oh, what is this person working on? They could see it in the bottom line. And so I went from a worker, like you said, up to a manager up to a director, then a senior director, then a vice president.
Nice.
And I did that in 5 years.
Nice. And thank you for reading my mind, because that was going to be my next question. How fast was the move up? So that was in a 5-year span.
Yeah. So that was in a 5-year span. My first promotion, so I went from worker to a manager. I got promoted after like 7 to 8 months at a company because of the work that I was doing. And then after that point, it seemed to move pretty fast. After that, I was getting promoted every year.
I like that you mentioned numbers, because of the fact that I feel as though, and if you don't mind me just highlighting your age group, you're in your 30s, correct?
Yes, I'm in my late 30s now.
Nice. Late 30s. Okay. So it seems as if this generation now, no one is staying in positions longer than, 3 years, or even I'll say longer than years now, but 1 year. People are getting the knowledge, the experience that they need within 6 months, and they're saying, you know what, deuces, and they're going on to the next. Do you think that's a good thing?
I don't always necessarily think that that's a good thing.
Okay.
I think working goes both ways. There's two sides of the coin. There is, what are you getting and learning for yourself? And then what are you doing for the company? And I think a lot of people miss the second part of the equation. So they're very roped up in, oh, I learned this thing, or I did this thing, or this was challenging and I executed it, and I learned a lot from it. But sometimes when you work on those things, they actually weren't impactful for the company. So you have to balance both of those things. And when I see people like ready to move on very quickly, it's because they've over-indexed on the first part, which is I learned a lot, I pushed myself, I grew a lot. They aren't able to articulate, okay, well, what was the impact of all of that learning and doing that hard work on the company that you work for? And if you aren't clear about the second piece, then it's very hard to move up.
Okay. So can you speak to how you moved up if you're moving up within 5, how long did you stay in each position?
Yeah, great question. So the first position, I was in it for less than a year, but I will say that my path was very fast because I was in like tech startup companies. So I wouldn't say that this is typical.
Okay.
So I was able to work for organizations that were growing really fast. And because they were growing fast, then I got to grow fast too. Like my trajectory may have been over 10 to 15 years if I was at a more long-standing organization or, an established organization that had maybe been around for 50 years or 70 years or something like that. Nice. So I was able to capitalize on that growth. So I don't want for people to think like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting promoted every year, I must be doing something wrong. No, your organizational context matters a lot too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that you shed light on that, because of the fact with social media and with podcasts, a lot of times we'll just see clips and we won't deep dive, right? So we'll hear.
Exactly.
Right. We'll just see headlines and we won't read the stories. And people will just say, oh, this person, they left their job and they became a millionaire. Hold on, wait. Go to page 5. Did you see the part where they became homeless, right? And then they had to do this and they do that, and they had to ask their family for this, or they actually came from a rich family that helped them do this.
Yes.
So the details matter, guys, within the journey.
They matter a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Now I wanted to also ask you, with your title now, how long have you been a performance coach? I know I said 2 years, but would you really say that you've been in it a little bit longer, because of the fact that within your journey, you were like shaping yourself? You get what I'm saying? Like you were like preparing for it in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And for me as a coach, and I believe this specifically for me, I coach what I know,
Mm,
and I choose to focus on high performance at work because I was someone who did that myself. So
right.
I'm not coaching based on theory, or I'm not coaching based on what I think should be true for people. I've actually had the experience. I've actually had the ups and the downs. Yes, I got promoted, but I've also been told no many times. So I can help my clients through that. So I would say that, yes, I've been performance coaching full time for almost 2 years at this point. I started in 2023, but I've been performance coaching myself for much longer than that, at least a decade.
Right.
And I've also been like, as a leader, as a VP, as a director, I was performance coaching my teams. I always had teams that were high performing, that were really excited about the work that we were doing. And that was because of the way that I led them too.
Nice. See, I always believe that before you actually get into the full role, you're getting the experience on the path, right? So it's actually preparing you. So that's why I
Yeah.
wanted you to touch on that. Sometimes you're even preparing, you're giving gems and performance tips to friends and families. And
Yeah.
probably like, hey, Ashley, what do you think? Or can you look at my resume? Can you do that? You know what I mean? You were
Yes.
stepping into that role well before
Yeah.
you were just like, you took the leap of faith and said, you know what? I want to
Yeah.
become who I've already been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the perfect way to say it, because that's also why I made the choice. It's because
Mm,
I had this evidence. So
mm,
over the years, I was like, oh, I've been coaching my team, or, oh, I have been helping friends, and I've been helping coworkers. And every single time I gave my coworkers advice, or most times that I did, they ended up getting promoted. So I'm like, all right, there's clearly something that I'm doing here
collect.
that's right and that's
Right.
effective. So yeah.
I love it. So, would you say that your position is lucrative?
Yes.
Oh, a
Yes.
laugh. Oh, she's bawling, y'all. You know how you laugh like I'm getting money. I know that's right. Yo, stop laughing to the bank, Ashley. All right, I'm about to become a performance coach. Okay, so you're getting money. That's wonderful. Now,
Yeah.
how do you how how do you find your clients, or how do your clients find you? Is it word of mouth? Is it a secret society? How does this work?
I wish there was a secret society. Maybe that's coming like 5 years from now. But
Right.
so a lot of it when I first started, and I'll tie this back to my work. So when I first started, the people that I reached out to tell them that I was performance coaching were my former coworkers. And
Mm,
because I built this reputation as someone who was about their work, someone who did a great job, a lot of those people either referred me to their friends or their network, or they hired me right off the bat without me even having like full-time experience as a performance coach. So that's why doing a good job matters too. So in the beginning, it was a lot of referrals, a lot of word of mouth. And now actually people find me through my thought leadership. So I have a weekly newsletter. People that I don't even know that aren't in my ecosystem, they're finding me that way.
I like that. And guys, while her and I were, connecting, I do something called a vibe check because I want to be sure that our interview goes like, well. I don't like boring interviews. So we did our vibe check, and I'm
I
like,
love that.
no, I don't. You will not come over here, be all boring with me. Like, no, I don't think this is gonna work. See ya. So I'm asking her, I'm like, so where are you on social media? Because I also did my like research on her and everything, and I'm like, she's really not all over social media. I'm like, where are you, girl? And she's like, just on LinkedIn. And she has like an Instagram, but it's not really like OD with it. So LinkedIn, that's your space, right?
Yeah, LinkedIn is my space. That's where I
Wow,
found a
that's
lot of my
dope.
clients. Yeah, or where people from my past get to see what I'm doing now, and they're curious about it. And they're trying to understand how the dots connect, where it's like, oh my gosh, this person was an executive and they didn't go off and be an executive somewhere else. They decided to go out on their own. Like, what is that about? So, yeah. And I get to tell that story now.
Right. And LinkedIn, I have a LinkedIn and I don't use it as often, but it's really a great social media. I don't really want to, call it like a social media platform in a sense, but that's what,
Yeah.
that's the category that it will fall in. You have 3,000 followers and growing, and that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that you interact, like you share
Mm-hmm.
things. And I thought it was just more like, I really didn't know. I thought it was just like a job board, you know what I
Oh,
mean? Like a
same
job
thing.
search.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you
Same
could
thing.
I just really didn't know what LinkedIn was. I just thought it was a job board. So how do
Yeah.
can you tell us more about the benefits of being on LinkedIn if you are
Yeah.
able to?
Yeah, I would love to. And I agreed with you, and I thought the same thing. So the only way that I used LinkedIn before I got into this work was to look for jobs, to to have recruiters slide in my DMs and be like, "Oh yeah, like, I want to
Facts.
entertain this opportunity,"
Right.
or to announce a new job. Right? It was all about the moves I was making or things I wanted to share as it relates to having a new job. But one thing that really intrigued me about LinkedIn is that only 1% of users on the platform actually post content. So there's millions of people, hundreds of millions of people on LinkedIn, and only 1% of users are broadcasting platforms, which means that you are not sorting through all the noise of every single user wanting to post things on LinkedIn. You are one of few. So your content gets surfaced to more people on LinkedIn because fewer people are posting. So for me, I was like, oh, that's a really great opportunity because not that many people are talking. I can contribute to the conversation. I don't look like the old white man CEOs that are posting on here. I'm already different. And that
Right.
gives me a boost too. And I stand out. So for LinkedIn, I post about 3 times a week. I'll share thoughts or things that I've learned over my career. I posted an interaction, like a text screenshot last week, and that got 30,000 views. And I'm
Whoa.
like, what? This is, yeah. And I'm like, what? This was so simple. I was just saying, like, someone who read my newsletters used the information from my newsletters to get promoted from director to senior director, which is an amazing thing. Like, he never paid me anything. He just read my content. And 30,000 people saw that post. And it didn't have
Nice.
30,000 likes. It just has 120 likes. But you would never guess that it had that much reach because of the engagement on there, but it did. So I'm a LinkedIn, I just love LinkedIn.
I'm a lover of LinkedIn. Yo,
Yes.
LinkedIn,
Yes.
are you able to make money from it, like monetize?
Not That's a good question. So I haven't monetized my LinkedIn directly, but I do get coaching inquiries through LinkedIn.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
more of yeah. So it's indirect sales. But I know other people, they have like a course or a workshop and you can click to buy it on LinkedIn, which I think is great. I just don't have anything like that.
Oh, okay. I understand. I follow. So
Hmm.
I like that you mentioned your views on LinkedIn because just last night I had looked at my dashboard on Instagram and you
Hmm.
heard me like ranting about them not, showing my stuff. But
Yes.
the way that it works, like I only have like 1,000 something followers on Instagram and I've never pressed about followers because a lot of times those followers are not true supporters if you have a large number. And I'm more about quality over quantity. So if it's a small number and it's quality, I love it. Like bring it here. And
Yeah. Yeah.
the views,
I agree with that.
yeah, definitely. The views were high. Like it was like 7,000, right? So it's like, I know
Wow.
people
Yeah.
are watching. The people are
Yeah.
watching, but the following isn't high. And that's super okay because I know I
Yeah.
have heavy hitters in my followers because of the,
Yeah.
network that I have. You know what I mean? And then it's like your social media is really like a resume and portfolio, right? So you do want to
Yes.
post. I tell people all the
Yes.
time, post. And I had a guest previously, last year, I'll say. His name is Sean. He's a DJ out
Hmm.
here. And he said to always speak your resume, always speak it
Hmm.
because you just never know who's watching, who's listening, XYZ.
Yeah.
Show them
Yeah.
what you got, like Jay-Z says. Show them what you got. Like, never
Yes.
dumb down, never be like, oh no, I post my stuff because you never know what opportunities can land. So keep doing your thing, Ashley. I'm really proud of you. You took that leap of faith 2 years ago and you're doing amazing. I also just want you to touch bases on the 3 C's of leadership, because we do have a lot of, successful women that's possibly, like I said, they may just be in that role of being an employee right now, but they want to transition into entrepreneurship. So
Yeah.
can you tell us what those 3 C's of leadership, would need to be?
Yes. Yes. So I try to keep this as easy as possible. I'll say the three and then I'll explain them. And it's your content, your context, and your confidence. Those are the three things that I see. People who are successful, they've mastered all three of them. So your content is exactly like what you were saying just now, Candy, right? And that's speaking your resume, having expertise, knowing what you are doing. And you do that so well, especially like with this podcast. I don't know you in a professional sense. I just know you through the podcast, but you're very knowledgeable about the things that you do. And when I spoke to you during the vibe check, it was clear that you were an expert here. That came across. So content is key. Some people aren't good at a single thing. Maybe they're good at multiple things. Either way, just be able to talk about your work. So context, that is know who your audience is and know who you are speaking to. The same thing. Yeah. So the same thing that you share with your peer at work or your coworker really shouldn't be the same way that you talk about it with a C-level executive. You need to know how to tailor your message to different people around you. And this one's hard. And I think this is probably the one that most people struggle with the most, especially if you're like a subject matter expert. Sometimes it's hard for you to tailor your message to the right audiences, but you have to know how to do that, or you have to learn how to do that. And then the confidence, that one kind of speaks for itself, but that is how you show up in a room. Are you prepared? Do you know what your talking points are? Do you take up space? You are allowed to take up space, but the people who do take up space in a room are the ones who appear to be more confident than those that may not. So this is just about like the persona that you're projecting. So if you get your content, your context, and your confidence on point, those are the three things that lead to success in leadership.
Nice. I love that. I feel like I check off all 3 of those. So
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've always, I've never had a problem with being a leader. So I feel like leaders
Yeah.
are born, actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be made, but it's a little difficult. This is just my
Yep.
opinion, but I feel like leaders are
Mm-hmm.
born. And my mother, she never had to worry about me. Like, I was the kid where, I'm getting dressed at like 2 or 3, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going out of the house like, all right, see you later. Like, where are you going?
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've always just had my own flow. Like, I'm just doing me. She just never had to
Yeah.
worry about me. And I can walk in the room. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to
Yeah.
be assertive. And it's just like the confidence is on. Now, I've
Yeah.
always been different positions. They want me to be in leadership. I don't ever want to be in leadership because I just know what comes with it. And I'm just like, I need all my money. I do not want to be salary. You're not going to overwork me. Like, I always just want to be hourly, but now as I've gotten to, my adult stage, I'm looking like, no, that salary seems like it's time for me to get salary money because, corporate now with certain companies that I'm at now, it's just like, okay, the money is much, much better. I think I need to get salary. Yep. But back in the day, I used to be like, nope, gotta go, see ya. And I used to, I know a lot of stuff. I know I'm a smart woman, but because I don't want people to try to use me for my smarts, I used to act like I didn't know stuff. So I'll just like, and I'll be sitting there knowing the whole answer. And I'll be like, all right, see, you gotta go. Because I'm like, I'm not about to get overworked. Like, I have to go, guys, because I've always had my own stuff outside of corporations. Like, I had, either I'm blogging, either I'm, podcasting. I have my own stuff. But then once I'm like, I gotta move up. I don't want to keep making the same little bit of money. And I realized I have to use my corporate job to fund my dreams. Girl, I started to boom. And so with my current job, I'm like you said, you moved up quickly. I moved up quickly. I'm starting to, engage. I stayed in my one position for, a year. Boom, I was out of it. And then I'm in a new position. And it's easy. Things comes easy to me because, I know how to, like you said, you know how to align yourself. You know how to get mentors. You know how to work with people. If you want something, you're going to get it. But it was all up to me. And if you guys want something, I always tell people, if you want something, you're going to go after it. If you don't want it, you're going to be effort. Interest it represents your effort. If you're into it, you're going to show it. It's just like dating. And we're going to talk about dating because you're an ambitious woman. I told you I was going to put you in a hot seat.
Yeah, you were. I'm ready for it.
You ready? Look, guys. She was like, Candy. All right, look. I like how I segued into that. Look. So look, the hot seat. You're an ambitious woman. And when we are super ambitious, dating can be like a little struggle because we don't got time for all that. What you doing? No, what are you doing? What time is dinner? I don't got time for this WYD. What are you doing? Are you coming to pick me up or not? Get off my phone, Tyrone. So, you're booed up, which is so great. I love that.
Yes, I am.
How did you meet your man?
Yes. So I love this. When we talked about it on the vibe check, I'll just share it. So like you said, I'm an ambitious woman. And at a certain point in time, I was just like, the apps are not working for me. Not to say that they don't work, but it didn't feel like they were working for me. I wasn't meeting who I wanted to meet. So I hired a matchmaker. And my matchmaker went out and I told her what I was looking for. She questioned. She was like, is that really what you're looking for? And throughout all of it, she ended up finding me, who is now my fiance. We met 4 years ago and we got engaged last year, but she just found the perfect person for me, someone who's thoughtful, who cares about their work as much as I do, that likes to travel, that is just the best. And I don't think I would have ever found him on an app.
Wow. So, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a guy.
Exactly.
Catch me a catch. I love it. You know what?
Yeah,
I
it feels
love that.
so old school too. Like, it just feels old school, but it worked. It worked for me.
No, I love it because you were just like, listen, I'm tired of these apps shifting through all of this garbage. I need to go to someone that can help me. And utilizing a matchmaker is so, like, intentional.
Yes.
Intentional.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
anyone says I want to be intentional about dating and they're still using apps, I'm going to be like, liar. So I remember when Elle was watching TV after Warner broke her heart. I'm sorry, I'm such a chick flick girl. And then she threw the box of chocolate and she was like, liar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's what the next person is going to get.
Yeah. All right, guys, if you're
Yeah.
listening, Elle and Warner is from Legally Blonde. That's one of my favorite
Yes.
movies. So if you don't know, you know. But anyway, so it's like if you want real love, stay off the apps, because I was considering the apps because I just was out here playing with these women's sons and they just was stressing me out. Like these grown men, they're over 40, they're in their 50s. It's like disgusting and they act 2 years old. And I'm like, you know what?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't want to end up on Snapped because I got a podcast.
Oh, my gosh. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't want to be on Dateline.
Thing too is the filter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I am happy for you. I wish you much success in the love area. You're doing great in your career. And Black women, we deserve that and more. And it's just like everything is aligning for you. And we are in the month of April. And the A in April stands for alignment. And you deserve all of that, honey. Yes.
Ooh, I'm going to say that for the month of April.
Yeah.
And I'm going to quote you because I always like to attribute things to the person who shared it. So, yes.
Ooh,
A is for alignment.
A is for alignment. Yes. So what I want you to do, I want you to tell my listeners a nice little gem because we have to wrap up. We're going to do a part 2. I'm going to bring you back. And we're going to do some more talking because I believe your service is really great. And I want to put people on the road to success. And, it's been a lot of layoffs this year with the administration. They're off the chain.
Yeah.
And I want to help people.
Chaotic.
Mm-hmm. And
so do I.
They need to connect with you. You offer a great service. And I really think that you know what you're doing. So
thank you.
Let's do this. Let's go ahead, wrap this up, give us a gem, tell them how they can find you. We're going to do a part 2. This is part 1, guys, but we're going to double back and do a part 2. So go ahead and give us a gem for today, please, Ashley.
Yes. So the thing that I would really love for people to do is to think about how they're investing in themselves and it doesn't have to be financial, but invest in yourself first and care about what you want, care about how you're going to continue to make yourself better. And don't just follow what people are saying that you need to do online. Don't, just wake up at 5 a.m. because social media tells you that, or because social media says you need to journal in the dark for an hour. No, think about the investments that you want to make in yourself and how those will make you a better person, whether that's professionally or personally, and do that. And then if you want to find me online, I would say read my newsletter. And my newsletter is newsletter.workwithashleyr.com. I have written over 80,000 words in the past 2 years. There is so much content on there. So when you think about investing in yourself, you could just read my newsletter and that will help you.
Wonderful. I love that, Jim. So like I said, I'm going to bring Ashley back on because she is an asset. And when someone's an asset, I like to keep them close. So I'm going to add her to my network. And if you guys need assistance with resumes, leveling up your performance, and just want to, do better in your life, especially when it comes to your career path, you really want to connect with Ashley. So I do want to thank you all for listening to Dope Chick with Ambition podcast. Be sure to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. I believe you can now leave reviews on Spotify. And not just a 5-star. Talk to me and let me know how you're feeling the podcast. And thank you for listening to Dope Chick with Ambition podcast. We are out of here. Thank you, Ashley. And you guys have a great day. Mwah.